This is CTV News with Nafisa Kareem.
Everybody who's out and about, we're going to get ponding on some of the roadways for sure, and really watch how those streams and creeks respond.
In like a lion, the old statement holding true with heavy rain on the way, how the island is preparing for a soggy week.
I think moving forward and knowing that heat waves are going to increase in frequency in British Columbia, we need to be a lot more proactive about how we manage them.
Nearly 5 years after an extreme heat wave gripped Vancouver Island, new research shows just how many species were lost and why we need to act now. Plus, Adam uncovers the unexpected past of this inner harbor bagpiper later on the Sawatsky sign-off. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Weather warnings are in place for the majority of Vancouver Island with a prolonged period of heavy rain expected this week. The risk of flooding and avalanches are high, and highway crews are warning of changing road conditions. CTV's Andy Garland has the breakdown on what we might expect.
James Clark is heading out on his snow bike on Mount Washington.
I'm just going to ride the roads for an hour and then head back to Victoria.
He's prepared in case there's an avalanche and knows the risk of one is likely.
And that's why I'm not going anywhere near where there is avalanche. I'm just staying on some long roads here.
The avalanche risk for Vancouver Island's entire alpine is high, and Avalanche Canada's message is to the point.
Avoid exposure to avalanche terrain while danger is elevated.
The atmospheric river is driving the high avalanche risk by rapidly loading and warming the snowpack.
So these things destabilize it very, very quickly. We're expecting natural avalanches to occur throughout the storm, and human triggering is also very likely.
Environment and Climate Change Canada says freezing levels will significantly rise throughout the day. And the combination of snowmelt and intense rain has put the north and west parts of the island on flood watch, while the southeastern half is under a high stream flow advisory.
This morning, our freezing levels over the island, probably 500 to 700 meters. And by late afternoon, early evening, our freezing levels are going to be about 2,000 meters to 2,500 meters.
The west coast of the island, in places like Tofino and Ucluelet, will see the most precipitation, with total rainfall accumulations to be near 150 millimeters and possibly 200 in some areas.
For anybody who's out and about, we're going to get ponding on some of the roadways for sure, and really watch how those streams and creeks respond.
In anticipation of the atmospheric river, Main Road North Island Contracting says they're doing extra patrols and making sure catch basins and culverts are cleared out.
I think drivers over the next week just need to be prepared that we do have a system coming in, and make sure you're planning appropriately to that and you're ready for snow, even if there's not snow forecasted.
Environment Canada expects the atmospheric river will subside by Wednesday. Andy Garland, CTV News, Comox Valley.
Well, let's bring in our meteorologist Josh Clausen with a look at just how much rain we can expect.
Yeah, this is going to be a glancing blow for Victoria. I mean, it's going to be wet in Victoria, but nowhere near as wet and stormy as it will be in other parts of the island. So you have 2 levels of rainfall warning in the yellow zones, inland areas up through Comox, Campbell River. You've got anywhere 100 to 150 millimeters. Most of that's going to be done by tomorrow morning, though, in and around Comox. You're not going to see much on top of that through the day tomorrow. And then an orange level advisory, 150 to maybe as much as 200 millimeters of rain, west coast and northern parts of the island. So as you just heard, the main concern with all of this heavy rain, as far as the mountain snow melt is concerned, is for the chance for some avalanches. You're also going to run the risk of some river flooding. Extensive pooling on roadways is going to be a big problem, so keep that in mind as you drive around tomorrow. And there is an elevated landslide risk as well. We'll take a closer look at some of the rainfall totals and when this storm will finally subside, all in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Josh. We'll chat later. Well, it may be a soggy March, but that hasn't stopped the province from preparing for what could be a busy wildfire season. The Ministry of Forests outlining its plans ahead of the dry season. It includes a record number of firefighter applications for seasonal positions. 2,400 firefighters applied to be part of operations this year. The Wildfire Service says it has invested $14 million in the ground firefighting equipment, such as trucks and camp infrastructure. It has also acquired 10 structure protection evacuation units, which are trailers containing equipment to protect communities like pumps, hoses, and sprinklers. An island-specific outlook for wildfire season is expected next month. A University of Victoria biologist is at the center of a new research project diving into the historic heat dome of 2021. It was responsible for hundreds of deaths, leading to policy change. And as CTV's Anna McMillan shows us, researchers say more changes need to be made now to protect wildlife that can't hide from the heat.
In the cool days of March 2026, BC scientists are looking back at the heat dome of 2021.
I don't view that as looking in the rearview mirror because these extreme climatic weather events are happening, all the time.
UVic biology professor Julia Baum is the lead author of a new paper which explores the ecological effects of record-shattering temperatures in June 5 years ago.
There were a few winners, species that we found actually, responded well to the increased heat. But by and large, the vast majority of species really suffered during this heat wave, just like people did.
More than 600 people died. As for wildlife, many of the species with the highest mortality rates were those that couldn't escape the sun.
Billions, we estimate, of marine invertebrates died along our province's rocky coastlines.
Same goes for baby birds that were stuck in their nests. A UBC botany professor and paper co-author says the heat also hurt most plants, but some photosynthesized more.
These were areas that are normally cool and wet. And so a lot of areas in the mountains, for example.
He says watering plants in the heat is essential.
When water evaporates, it not only cools the leaves, but it also cools organisms that are living in the plants.
Sadly, we're looking at dead kelp.
When it comes to land management, Baum says there should be corridors for animals to access shade and water.
We can't wait until they suddenly occur and expect that we're going to be able to manage or limit the impacts on wildlife at that time. We need to start managing it now.
Changes to protect people have been implemented. In Victoria, the city now has misting stations, an extreme heat response plan, and workshops to prepare neighborhoods and stratas for high temperatures.
By 2050, these types of events are predicted to happen every 5 to 10 years. And by the end of this century, so by 2100, the duration of these events is predicted to increase by about 200%.
That's something the researchers say policymakers must prepare for as the climate continues to change. Anna McMillan, CTV News, UVic.
A new report shows condo owners in Victoria saw some of the biggest gains when it comes to property values over the past 10 years. The report by Zoocasa, an online real estate marketplace, analyzed detached homes and condo prices in 9 major Canadian regions from the past 10 years. Victoria's condo market saw a 36.2% increase in value, whereas a detached home saw a 14.8% increase over that period. Victoria saw the most consistent returns on condos than any other Western Canada market. It was also the only city next to Toronto where condos outperformed detached homes when it came to property values.
Haven't had the big dips that other markets have had in other regions, say in Vancouver or Toronto, those bigger places. So all in all, people want to be here, either by investing and coming here later or, setting roots here.
The report says the fact that condos outpace detached homes suggests a trend towards high-density living in expensive BC regions. A collaborative rescue effort involving North Shore Rescue and Nanaimo Search and Rescue successfully plucked an injured rock climber off Copley Mountain near Lanceville over the weekend. Nanaimo SAR was first on scene after reports a climber had a compound fracture. Due to the remote location and nature of those injuries, Nanaimo SAR requested specialized support from North Shore Rescue's hoist team. The North Shore Rescue crew, including 2 ER physicians, responded, while the Nanaimo SAR techs stabilized the climber on the ground. Search and Rescue says without interagency cooperation, this quick rescue would have been anything but.
We would have looked at a rope extraction. It would have gone into the dark, more than likely. Hard to say for sure. It wouldn't have been an overnight, but we certainly would be. Obviously, it complicates safety for our members and the subject as we're working into the dark. Yeah, certainly. Thanks to the partnership with North Shore, with Aerosmith Search and Rescue, we were able to get him out much quicker than we would have if we were on our own.
The climber was flown to Nanaimo Airport and then transferred to paramedics and taken to hospital. Nanaimo SAR says the climber did everything right. He was with a buddy who stayed with the victim and called 911, provided initial first aid, and kept him warm. The lawyer for former CFAX 1070 radio host Al Farabee is electing to test child luring charges against Farabee in court. In an appearance today, which Farabee did not attend, his lawyer elected a trial by judge in the case. Farabee is charged with 2 counts of communicating with children under the age of 18. Victoria's court registry indicates on March 23rd, the Crown and Farabee's defense will set a trial date. Bell Media, which owns CFAX 1070 and CTV, was not aware of the investigation into Farabee. He was suspended immediately once charges were laid and no longer works for the company. The charges against Farabee have not been tested in court.
CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Make the most of your next trip by booking with those who've been there. Visit expediacruises.ca.
Well, Josh is back with the full forecast and more on that deluge.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to really soak western and northern parts of the island, inland areas as well over the course of the next couple of days. By late Wednesday morning into early Wednesday afternoon, looks like the heaviest of the rain should be out of the area. There's still some more showers into Thursday for parts of the island, though. For Victoria, it's, a little wet, but warm as well. 12 degrees for a daytime high today. It's currently 11. And we'll see temperatures a couple degrees above average for the next little while. There's that atmospheric river drawing in all the moisture. And you can see heavy pockets of rain over inland areas right now, increasing that risk for snow melt, potential for some avalanches, as well as, some road washouts as all of that snow starts to melt and come down. Heaviest of the rainfall overnight tonight does sort of slip further to the south. So it looks like Victoria through the overnight period picks up a couple millimeters of rain, then it breaks down through the morning hours. Showers or periods of rain for inland areas from Tofino north and then up into the North Island. And then tomorrow afternoon, it's south of Tofino. Port Renfrew, you're probably going to see your heaviest rain later in the day tomorrow. Tofino kind of intensifies again through the afternoon hours and into the evening. So by tomorrow morning, rainfall totals out of the west coast, about 75 in Tofino, a little bit more further to the south. Only 5, maybe 10 in Victoria. And you can see we'll add to that another 5 to 10 through the course of the day, Tuesday and into Wednesday morning. And look at these rainfall totals, double in and around Tofino and areas to the south. So it's going to be a real soaker here for the next couple of days. In the north, these are your estimated rainfall totals for Port Hardy. Areas further west in the northern portion of the island, you're going to see a little bit more than this. 5 to 15 tomorrow, about 2 to 5 Wednesday, so a little bit of a break Wednesday, and then 10 to 20 on Thursday. Daytime highs in double digits, though, for the next 3 days. Breezy, gusts to about 40 kilometers per hour. And in Port Alberni, you're looking at about 10 to 15 tomorrow. That's after some heavy rain tonight. So that does not include the rain that comes through this evening and overnight tonight. And then 10 to 20 and 10 to 15 Wednesday, Thursday. Backs off to periods of rain for Friday. 20 to 40 out of the west coast tomorrow after heavy, steady rain overnight tonight. More rain Wednesday and Thursday. And in Comox, you're looking at about 5 to 10 tomorrow. Gusts to around 60 kilometers per hour. I think wind will be a bigger issue than rain. Temperatures climb to 14 Wednesday, Thursday. Nanaimo in the 13, 14 degree range as well, with about 2 to 5 millimeters of rain each of the next 3 days, and gusts there as well, 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. In Victoria, about 5 to 10 tomorrow, 5 to 10 on Wednesday, so nowhere near as much as other parts of the island, but it will be wet for the next few days. Warm as well. As we said, daytime high should be in the 10 to 15 degree range, a couple degrees above average, right through to the end of the week. CTV Weather is brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So wet and warm as winter wraps up.
All right, thank you, Josh. Canada's inflation rate cooled more than expected this month, dropping to 1.8%. But economists expect this month's report is likely the dip before the spike. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver explains.
The items on Hanan Alame's charcuterie platters are carefully curated.
This is like my passion.
But creating the beautiful food displays is getting more expensive by the month.
It's been extremely hard. Even like I opened up a year ago, from a year till now, things have skyrocketed. It's been double in price. So even like the meats, the cheeses, the fruits, even gas, because I do deliver as well.
Alame loves what she does, but she has some concerns about the future, a common feeling among small business owners.
Businesses haven't even recovered from the pandemic. Then we move into a trade war. Now we're moving into rising oil prices. The knocks continue. And for some businesses, this is a big threat.
Since the war began in late February, the price of oil has increased 40 to 50%. And economists say that could boost the cost of many goods and services, including food.
If you look at fresh fruits and vegetables that are coming in by truck from the southern U.S. or from Central America, that transportation cost is roughly 10% of the retail price. And so we will see some upward pressure for those products in the month of March.
If the war continues through the spring, economists fear inflation could increase too, making the Bank of Canada's next interest rate decisions more complicated.
There's no way around it. The next numbers will be higher. The question is how the Bank of Canada will then try to signal what it's likely to do. Most likely, right now it'll stay at the level it is, but it'll kind of say, look, we're really watching this. We don't want to get out of control.
The Bank of Canada will make its next rate decision on Wednesday, and many economists expect the bank will hold steady at 2.25%. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
To the latest in the Middle East, the U.S. president is never shy about attacking allies and is calling for international help in the critical Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump is calling out NATO nations and putting the pressure on them to get involved in the war. Here's CTV's Joy Malbin.
3 weeks into the Iran war that President Donald Trump chose to launch, the president demanding NATO nations come to his aid while mocking some of them.
They weren't that enthusiastic. Well, we want to know, do you have any minesweepers? Well, would rather not get involved, sir. I said, for 40 years we're protecting you and you don't want to get involved in something that is very minor.
Not a small ask. The Strait of Hormuz is under attack by Iran. Tankers on fire, choking off 20% of the world's oil supply and sending gas prices soaring. The president wants warships to help escort tankers to keep the oil flowing.
We get less than 1% of our oil from the Strait, and some countries get much more. Japan gets 95%. China gets 90%. Many of the Europeans get quite a bit. They should be jumping to help us because we've helped them for years.
Trump is frustrated, even disappointed at NATO allies, ripping into the UK and France, saying he's in talks with 7 countries, and it would be very bad for the future of NATO if they don't step up.
Among other mistakes Trump made before undertaking this operation was not consulting adequately with our allies. He also didn't prepare the American people and didn't prepare the Congress. And I say all this as an advocate of regime change in Iran.
The president claims the Iranian regime has been, quote, obliterated and doesn't know if Iran's new supreme leader is alive or dead.
They're saying that he lost his leg, one leg, and he's been hurt very badly. Other people are saying he's dead.
The president has said the war could be over very soon, but he's also warned the U.S. is not ready to end it either until Iran abandons its nuclear ambitions completely. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
Coming up, the bagpipe doctor. Adam meets a Victoria musician with an unexpected past. Next on the Sawatsky Sign-Off. Finally, Adam finds out why a Victoria man is trading his scrubs for a kilt on the Sawatsky Sign-Off.
Ken Wilson is on a journey that began in a Scottish village when he was just wee and fell under the spell of the bagpipes.
I don't know what the magical wavelength is, but there's something about it.
Appreciating that magic is one thing, learning how to make it is another.
Well, there are 2 words for that: peer pressure.
When Ken was 11, his best friend couldn't have been more keen to play the pipes.
I was a little less enthusiastic, but his enthusiasm rubbed onto me.
After signing up for lessons after school, Ken found himself falling in love with the bagpipes.
I can't explain it. It's like a relationship. The chemistry has to be there.
It was certainly there, and remained there when Ken eventually decided to enlist in the Navy.
but the Navy doesn't have bagpipes, so I had to go with Army.
Ken served in Scotland before moving to Canada to serve here, piping perpetually.
It's an instrument of war, so we like to let everybody know that we're here.
Now, Ken is welcoming everyone who visits here by busking for tourists.
Met lots of people and good exercise. Cardiopulmonary is good.
And Ken knows that because he's also a doctor, working as a published medical specialist, teaching as a clinical medical professor, and giving back as a philanthropist.
The busking is I'm not here to make a ton of money.
Instead, the doctor is here to prescribe the public something positive.
I love the bagpipes. It's a pure enjoyment. It's joie de vivre.
While you won't find that diagnosis in a medical journal, this wee lad learned early it's an enduring symptom of making magic. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Victoria.
The Sawatsky Sign-Off, brought to you by Coastal Community Credit Union. Bank happy at Coastal Community Credit Union.
That is it for CTV News Vancouver Island. Thank you so much for joining us.